I really do love any game where things just die without me having to do anything, especially ones where we can make ridiculous amounts of money. I'm not really sure where we're at because the game's been running by itself for a long time, so we're going to try fighting the boss. So far, I don't think we're going to be able to kill it in the next 24 seconds. Definitely not. So let's try it if we activate our powers. This one doubles the effect of the next one, and I'm not really sure if I should use that one or not, but we're going to hit everything. And it's dead. Okay, so the powers really make it work. And we're just going to let the powers keep on going because why wouldn't we? They're going to tear through absolutely everything, and we're going to make so much money that I'm going to be able to afford whatever I want. And while we're waiting, let's level up the Dread Knight another 25 levels to level 100. We definitely can't afford Atlas yet, but we're not super far off. But still, at the rate we're making money, it's going to be a minute. So for now, maybe we'll just level up the Dread Knight as much as we possibly can. 25 levels at a time. There's 25, there's another 25, and that's about it. So we'll settle for that. But our DPS is up to 50,000. And in case you're wondering how much money it is we have 2.804 E44. That's a really big number. Anyways, let's see if 50,000 DPS is enough to carry us through this boss. We're going to do this for 100% DPS surge, and I'm going to click a few times, and yeah, I think we're still pretty well good. And we're back into the forest zone with the fuzzy bumblebees. But things are starting to slow down a little bit, so I think I want to ascend. I'm going to get 159 hero souls. We're going to get 1600% to all damage. And just like that, we're back to 0 heroes. But we're doing a lot of damage, so we're going to one punch everything for now. So let's hire a single hero and continue to click on things and laugh as they die. Level 2, probably still not going to be much of a challenge. I think it's going to take a while before anything's able to resist our power. Okay, we're up to almost $100, so I think for now we're going to hire Tree Beast. Now we're up to 340 DPS, so we can pretty much just sit here and watch everything explode for a little while. And that includes level 3, but we know it escalates very quickly, so our damage is going to catch up with us soon. There is also something just very satisfying about watching everything explode. Just in time for the boss, here's Ivan the Drunken Brawler. That puts our DPS up to 1800 already. So the boss is already dead, and again, and again, and again. But what an easy way to save up $1,000 for Brittany, the beach princess. And once we unlock her, our DPS is going to go up to 10,000 already. And since we're making money this quickly, we might as well save up the 4,000 we need for the Wandering Fisherman. That didn't take long at all. One of those, and we're up to 18,000 DPS. So we'll continue on to the next boss. Not that that's going to take us particularly long, considering things are dying very instantly. I don't really even have a chance to see what's spawning before they explode into a pile of goo. Anyways, here's the next boss, and it's dead, and again, and again, and again, and again. But look at all this money, we're up to almost $10,000 already. After farming the boss for a bit, I decided to save up the 20,000 we needed for Betty Clicker. That puts our DPS up to 52,000 already. And I put the auto scroll on, so once we're done a stage, it's automatically going to move me on. The next hero does cost $100,000, and obviously our rate of production is slowing down just a little, but $100,000 won't be too bad. While I'm waiting, I'm going to go back in time a little bit and upgrade some of my older heroes. Maybe up to level 50, just because sometimes they can increase others' DPS. And while I did that to click on 4 things, we've saved up $150,000 somehow. We're making money pretty quick, so I'm going to take the Masked Samurai. That's going to boost our DPS up to 475,000. I guess a lot of that is probably because I leveled up some of these old ones, so I'm going to give some of these just an extra 10 levels, because clearly that's making a big difference. There's 835,000 DPS. This is so much easier once you prestige. But even though we're doing almost 1 million DPS, the rate of the enemies dying has slowed down quite a lot. So we're going to need to buy this one for $400,000, which brings our DPS up to 1,750,000, but then also this hero. So we're at 4 million DPS. And that seems to have increased the rate of things dying again. And here's the next boss, although I think that's kind of a rare spawn one, I suspect. Still a little bit slow to kill him. Oh, we killed him. Then while we're working our way through the levels again, I'm going to go back and buy 10 levels of everything I can, which wasn't a lot, but increase the DPS of all heroes by 20%. So if I click on this, we go from 16,000 DPS to 19,000 DPS. Then if I get Betty Clicker up to level 25, I can get another 20% DPS out of all the heroes. So we're going to do that. And we're at the next boss already because things are slowing down. We're maybe going to farm the boss for a bit because they're usually pretty valuable. Also, we're going to buy Alexa and then also Natalia. And look how much faster he dies. We're going to farm this for a second. It really is a good problem to have that I'm basically unlocking things faster than I can even click on them. Like, I can't even keep up, and all I gotta do is click on things to buy them. There's 928 million DPS, and this stump is being annihilated. This all day. So as much fun as it would be to explode this idiot endlessly, we've got to move on to other things. Everything needs a turn to explode. And I think we need Betty Clicker to hit level 50 because we get another 20% DPS to all our heroes that way. And that's not that expensive to do. There's 1,115 million DPS. And then she really only takes level 75 to do that same thing again for an extra 20% DPS. But even with all those boosts, look how slow everything is dying suddenly. We're only level 44. And oversized Ratty is definitely pretty strong considering it took us about 3/4 of the way through our timer to get him dead. We're gonna farm him for a minute though, just to see the difference. Because while we're killing him that slowly, all we gotta do is hire one of these, and that drops pretty quickly. Especially when I buy 10 levels for all the previous heroes up to this point, except for him himself because he's very expensive. But if we buy these, I think that's gonna make a pretty big difference. So it went from taking 18 seconds to kill him to 1 second. Plus he's giving me a lot of money, plus we still need to buy her for 50,000 million. Plus the Fire Mage does come with the bonus of increase the DPS of all heroes by 25%. Need to get her to level 10 for that, but that won't be too hard. And we're back to obliterating regular enemies. That 1600% bonus DPS really makes a difference. The next boss is dead. That took 5 seconds. But we're maybe going to farm him for a minute just because we can. Because that's pretty good money. And also I can get another 10 levels for Bobby the Bounty Hunter and then double his DPS. And that's bad news for Big Feats here because he's going to die again and again. At least he seems pretty happy about it. Then we're going to get another 10 levels to the Fire Mage, which basically doubled our DPS to 201 billion. And then we're going to get a 25% DPS bonus to all heroes. So that put us up to 250 billion. So then we're going to hire Sir George II. And then he's going to die even quicker because we're up to 353 billion. And just like that, we're into the thousands of billions. So trillions if I'm not mistaken. But enough of killing that moron. We've got other things to obliterate. I think I just killed the boss and didn't even notice. Yep, we killed this thing. I wasn't even paying attention, but it died fairly quickly. And that's before buying King Midas. So our DPS is up to 1,151 billion. And since we're into the trillions of dollars, I think it's probably a good time to go back and buy a whole bunch of levels for all the old heroes because we'll get lots of extra DPS out of that. So we're going to start at the top and buy 100 levels of whatever we can until we run out of money. But then we're probably still going to keep going just because we can. Here's one for increasing your critical click damage multiplier by 5. And unlocks the lucky strike skills. Here's one, increase DPS of all heroes by 25%. Here's another one for increasing the DPS of all heroes by, you guessed it, 25% again. So we're up to 4,300 billion now. And I mean, I think that was probably worth it. We'll do that again when we get a little ways ahead. But for now, I'm going to buy whatever I can, which apparently is refrigerator. That puts us up to almost 10,000 billion DPS. And this cat thing is dying ever quicker. I should just let it run like this for like 12 hours. But I'm far too important for something like that. We're going to move on so I can make more money. Then adding another 10 levels to King Midas made a huge difference to our DPS. We're up to 23,000 billion DPS. I swear every time I look back at my list of heroes, I can afford the next one just whenever I do. So this is going to take us from 22,000 to 40,000 billion DPS. Oh, and I should probably keep upgrading King Midas because increase all gold found by 25%. Oh, and also this too. Now we're into the hundreds of trillions of dollars and we're going to be into the thousands of trillions very soon. What is going to help is if we buy enough levels to get an extra 25% gold on top. And here's our next boss at level 70. He's putting up a much better fight. Still not enough to be able to resist us yet. And even if he could, well, we just buy more upgrades until he melted. Hey, look at that. I can already hire Mazu. And that puts us up to 235 trillion DPS, which definitely makes a big difference for Big Boy. And I suspect buying 10 levels of him will too. This is ridiculously faster than it was before, but also because of that 1600% DPS bonus. Here's another 10 levels for Abaddon, and so we're going to get extra DPS there. Up to 779 trillion DPS. I definitely want to get King Midas as high as I possibly can though, because that's going to mean extra gold. The more gold I get, the more damage I do. The more damage I do, the more gold I make. And that's a nice big loop. Well, I got him up to here, and this is going to increase all gold found by 50% from this point forward. That's a lot of gold. Anyways, moving on. We're going to continue to farm regular enemies, which die in a really big hurry because we're doing a lot of damage, even considering we're at level 71. And then we can buy the next hero along. That tripled our overall DPS to 2,300 trillion, which means we've made it to the next boss who dies very quickly. So we're going to sit here until she dies basically instantly. And also because I get like $25,000 trillion every time she dies. And that adds up pretty quickly. Like we could buy another 10 levels here and do this. And that puts us up to 6,000 trillion DPS. So then before you know it, we can hire the Beast Lord, which basically tripled our DPS again. And now she dies that much quicker. And then just for fun, we're going to buy another 10 levels for this guy. That way he can get his DPS increased by 100%. Because look how fast she's dying already. Once we click on this, it's going to be 50% faster than it just was. But the next hero is going to cost 9,000 Q, and that's going to take a sec, so we're going to have to move on to where we start earning more money. But here's the regular enemies. I think they're there. It's hard to tell. Level 80, here's the next boss. We're going to sit here and farm him for a minute. We're up to 1000 Q, so it won't be much longer before we can get Athena. And after looking away for what felt like 10 seconds, we've got 16,000 Q. I guess that's quadrillion. So we're going to buy Athena for 9,000. That puts our DPS up to 645 quadrillion, which seems like a lot. Mostly because it is. We're going to buy 10 levels for Beast Lord, then double his DPS. Then the next hero is going to cost 350 quintillion, so we're going to have to move on to really be able to afford her. But look what I found. Increase all heroes' DPS by 20%. All we got to do is get 25 levels out of him, which is this one. And we're going to buy it. I don't even know what that costed because I just don't care. Oh, wait, we saw the next boss for a sec there, and he's dead. Again? And he's dead. All right, well, maybe going to go to the next one then. All right, here's the next boss. We're probably going to farm them for a little bit because we're not killing them super quickly. But with a few upgrades, I think we probably will be. I'm getting about $40 quintillion every time this thing dies. It looks like a teapot you find in your grandmother's house. But regardless of that, we can afford the next hero, Aphrodite. That puts us up to 14,000 quadrillion DPS. And that means this thing is dying basically instantly. So let's give all of our heroes another 20% DPS boost by clicking on that. Then we're going to add 10 levels here and then click on this, and that's going to put us up to 35,000 quadrillion DPS. And that's probably quick enough for me. Let's move on to whatever boss comes up next. And the level 100 boss is a hamster kitty cat. It's actually pretty strong. Not strong enough to defeat me, but still stronger than most of the other ones we fought so far. And they're dead. We're going to sit here and farm this one for a little bit just because the money's pretty good. Because we can already hire Shinatobi. And that puts us up to 307 quintillion DPS, and that means this thing dies way faster. The next hero does cost about 4,200 sextillion, so I think that's $4 septillion, which is going to take a second. But for now, we're going to go back and do the same thing we always do and upgrade older heroes, looking for superpowers. And that basically involves buying 100 levels for anything we can afford, which is most of them because we're pretty rich. Well, we managed to get a little bit of DPS out of that, but probably nothing's going to compare to buying another 10 levels for them, then clicking on this. 7,000 quintillion DPS, and look how fast the hamster cat's dying now. So enough farming this, we're going to move on to higher paying monsters, like whatever these things are. This extra bonus DPS makes all the difference in the world because we're just tearing through absolutely everything. So we didn't get any of the good ones yet. But then again, I think I did actually get Frostleaf. We just haven't unlocked Frostleaf yet. But we will soon. And I think while I was doing that, we got through another boss, but that's just fine. We'll farm the boss at level 115. And they're the skull spider with tentacle eyes, because of course they are. And we'll farm this until we get whatever we want. And if we buy this, we can get a boost to 10% DPS for all heroes. That puts us up to about 100,000 quintillion DPS. And then after upgrading a few more older heroes, we're up to 4,700 quintillion DPS. But it's definitely still going to be a second before we can afford Frostleaf, so let's just move on from here. Even with all these upgrades now, the monsters are dying quick, but not nearly as quick as they were. Buying another 10 levels for Grant, though, should help. That was a massive boost to our DPS, and I didn't even click on this yet. This is going to boost all heroes. That took us up to 33,000 quintillion. And here's the level 120 boss. It's a scorpion again, and it's dead. After just stopping to farm for just a second, we can now hire Frostleaf. That's going to take our DPS from 1,107 sextillion to 57,000 sextillion. So that's a pretty big boost. That's actually a major boost, so let's see what the next boss thinks of that. And they die almost instantly. So that's a lot of fun, and look how much money we're making. I just realized a lot of my heroes are already gilded. Like Frostleaf, he's already 3 times gilded. That's why he's doing as much damage as he is. So let's see if we can get some more of these. We just need to hope for some of the big ones. Don't think that's any good. That's definitely not good. And that's also not good. So we're going to go ahead and do that one more time. And I'm pretty sure the Dread Knight is maybe the next one we're about to unlock, so that's actually pretty good. So also let's increase Frostleaf's damage by a lot. We click on that, we're now up to 1,233 septillion DPS. And you can tell that's a lot by the way this thing's exploding into pieces as soon as we can see him appear. But we need 10,000 U's for the next hero, so we're going to have to move on. But that's okay because enemies are still dying instantly, but they're giving me increasingly more money. The next boss is hard to even, like I can't, there we go. We're just going to kill them again and again and again because they're giving me, money. And that's enough to buy like 100 levels for Grant. 100 levels for Shinatobi, 100 levels for Aphrodite, and 100 levels for Athena. And here's when to boost the DPS of all heroes by 25%. And then just for fun, I'm going to buy another 25 levels for Frostleaf because that put me up to 5,000 septillion DPS, and that put me up to 10,000 septillion DPS. It's actually a little bit laggy when this much stuff is on screen at once. And look what we get in another 25 levels. Increase the DPS of all heroes by 25 levels again. It's a little bit expensive, but we can already almost afford it. So we're just going to keep on grinding until we get there. And we're once again having that problem where the boss basically dies before we can even click the button. So there we go. We're now killing a crab. And they're giving me a lot of money. So let's buy another 25 levels for Frostleaf and then increase the DPS everywhere. That doubled our overall DPS from what it just was. And we're up to 5,000 octillion dollars. Still not at you yet, but we'll be there before you know it. Okay, so here's what the level 140 boss is looking like. It's a giant tentacle. We got 3 hero souls next to Sen, but it's dying in about 2 seconds flat, which isn't really good enough for me. But let's give another 25 levels to Frostleaf, which gave us about a 50% boost to DPS. Then we click on this, and that gave me a clicking bonus. We'll just have to continue on grinding through the levels, but that's okay. By the time we get to the next boss, we'll probably have enough money for the Dread Knight, and he's gonna do a lot of damage. The level 145 boss, in case you're wondering, is dead. And the next boss we're definitely able to kill. They're definitely getting stronger though. This one takes me about 4 seconds to kill. That's not good enough for me. But we're also not making money at a very rapid rate yet, so we've just got to move on. We got to start making into the U's and then get 10,000 of them. Luckily, regular enemies, even at level 152, basically die instantly. And we're into the end, so I believe that's $128 million. And the level 155 boss, definitely getting stronger, but they are giving me a lot more money each and every boss. So for now, I'm going to buy another 25 levels for Frostleaf just to try and get a little bit more DPS out of everything. Then maybe another 10 on top of that, just because it's going to be worth it. I need all the DPS I can get right now. I just found a relic, which only happens once per ascension, so hopefully this is something pretty good. Barcodes of Thrift. I had no idea these were even a thing. Plus 5% gold dropped, 25% DPS when idle, cheaper hero hiring. Okay, I'll take those, but I'm also going to buy more of those because I didn't even know I could do that. So that adds plus 6% damage to gilded damage, and we have a lot of gilded heroes by now. This has extra gold from monsters. But I had no idea I could just buy more damage like this. I'm going to buy more of these, hopefully getting some good things. This one's epic. 35% gold dropped, which is huge. If I just get a bunch of gold multipliers from these, I'll be rich in no time. What does this one do? I get extra boss fight time. I get 2 seconds to metal detector, plus 16 seconds to click storm. So then we get a rare, a common, and a common. But even these do, like this one's 80% click damage. That's insane. And here's the next boss at level 165. Clearly they're a little bit stronger. We're definitely going to be able to defeat them, but it's much slower than it was before. Oh, I get it. I can only equip 4 of these at a time. That makes a little more sense to me now. I kind of thought it was ridiculous how much these could stack, but at least now I can pick and choose which one of these I like. Like this one is an extra 30% gold dropped. It's just a basic, but that's actually really good. Then I'm going to salvage the old ones, and then I'm going to get 626 forge cores, whatever those are. Luckily, I'm recklessly irresponsible, so I just bought another 200 and whatever rubies, so now we're going to buy a bunch more relics, hoping for some really good ones. I don't really want green ones. I'm looking for purples, which seem to be a little bit rarer than I had initially thought. But we're going to keep going, and there's at least one. We get 240% click damage, which is pretty good if I ever bothered to click. I'm actually going to trade out a lot of my purples because they don't really do a lot. Like this one like subtracts off level up cost, but I can just put these on if I ever do need a bit of a break. But I'm just going to put extra gold drop on for now. Gold's what's going to get me ahead in this game. And like when I put those other ones on for the discount for heroes, it drops it from 10,000 to 9,700 U. That's not a big difference, and I really don't care. I'd rather just get the extra gold. So we're going to move on from this super fat bat and go back to the regular enemies who are suddenly much stronger. I'm starting to wonder what a lot of these other things are. Like I can do this, but it's going to cost me 1 hero soul. I have 160 of them, so yeah, let's do it, I guess. Then again, none of these are really good because they do things mostly when I'm idle, and I don't care about what happens when I'm idle. But let's reroll and see if I can get more damage out of these now. I mean, this one's probably pretty good for me, 33% to hero soul DPS. I don't really know what that means, but I'm gonna take it. I'm sure that's gonna add damage somewhere somehow. We're already doing lots of damage, so anything more we can do is just icing on the cake. Here's the next boss, and it looks like we might actually have to do some clicking to be able to defeat them. Even then, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do it, so I'm going to basically activate all of my powers. So I guess we're just gonna go something like that, and then yeah, okay, once the powers are all on, bosses die super easily. Still waiting on that 10,000 U for my next hero though. Well, I might as well not let all this stuff go to waste and go through all the enemies right now. That's gonna give me money and carry me through to the next boss. But even then, it's still gonna be a while. It took us a long time to save up 14,000 and we need 10,000 EU. Definitely starting to get pretty worried about the state of my DPS right now because even the basic enemies are taking way too long to kill. And there's only so much I can do to increase DPS right now because as it is, Frostleaf here is making up 99.85% of my total DPS, basically all of it. The little bit that's remaining is made up by Grant and everyone else after that doesn't even exist. But here's the next boss and they're going to be pretty hard to kill. So I think what I'm going to do is increase Frostleaf's level as much as I can, because that's going to make a pretty big difference to the overall DPS. Not a huge difference, but big enough that it is going to be noticeable. We're up to 70,806,000 septillion DPS. And then I think if I'm clicking or even using my auto clicker, yeah, we could definitely take care of the boss, but we're not doing nearly as much damage as I would hope to be doing. You know what? If I use my auto clicker, the enemies do die again pretty quickly. So maybe I just need to use the auto clicker more. And here's the next boss at level 180. We get 6 hero souls for defeating him, but I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to with the auto clicker right now. Doesn't look like it. So I think I'm going to need to spend even more of my hard-earned gold on a few more upgrades for DPS. I just realized that if I give Frostleaf another 9 levels, he does 4 times damage at level 200. It's very expensive to get him there, but I think it's going to be worth it. All we need is another 3 levels, so we can go back and farm one of the prior levels, and that'll be fine. Maybe I should do the same for Grant. That wasn't even that expensive, but I'm sure that made a difference to DPS. No, that maybe wasn't worth it, because he's now doing 0.68% total DPS, which is a lot comparatively, but we need to be doing way more than that. Okay, there's Frostleaf, level 199, one more little level to go. So that's going to take them from 73,700 septillion up to 296 octillion. That is a massive difference, which means they're now doing 99.82% of total DPS again. And that should mean that we're able to defeat the boss. It went from being very close to being able to defeat them to pretty easily being able to defeat them. And hopefully this is worth some considerable money because I need lots of money. And to get the next bonus for Frostleaf, we're going to need 100D, which I think means Decillion, which might mean that Dread Knight is undecillion. So that's going to be a long ways away. But then again, we did start out making like $1 today, and now we're making nonillions of dollars every second. The next boss is another one of these. I'm pretty sure I can still defeat them fairly comfortably, but the next boss we are going to need some upgrades for. And if I use the game's auto clicker, she's especially easy to kill. Just hope she gives me a lot of money. Okay, here's the next boss at 190. He's definitely a little bit tougher. Even with my auto clicker, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. It looks like we might. It's going to be really close. There was less than a second left on the timer, which brings us to the Astral Rift, where things are definitely dying a lot slower, but they're still dying and that's still giving us money, and that's really all that matters. But while we're waiting, let's level up Frostleaf as many times as we can. There's an extra 10 levels. We can't even afford another 10 on top of that. So we'll just get whatever we can. Another 10 levels, we'll get 4 times the damage. The next boss we're probably going to need a little bit of assistance with, but I do want to get through him, so I'm going to click on both of those and pretty much let this thing go to town. Even then, I'm not sure we're going to be able to make it, so we've got some farming to do. I've been grinding and grinding. One more click of this button gets Frostleaf to 225, which takes him from 331 octillion damage to 1333 octillion damage, which makes up 99.3% of my total DPS, which means we should now be able to kill the boss. Gonna involve some clicking still, but we'll be able to do it. But I think it's safe to say that a little more grinding is going to be required before we can buy the Dread Knight, who is also a gilded hero and going to have incredible DPS.